Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye up, bye up. Let's get to the intro. Welcome back to Gunners Collective TV. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate the support, man. I'm very humble. Thank you. So, statewide lockdown, 21 prisons, level 3s and 4s, California. What's new? You know, it's not particularly called a lockdown. They put a nice, cool name to it. They call it a modified program. But I'll tell you guys right now, modified program is just an AKA for lockdown. Now, back in my days when I was doing time in the California system, in the prison system, modified program was modified program. You know, in-house feedings, limited movements. You know, sometimes they just did self-feedings and you couldn't go to the chow hall. That was the extent of it. Or certain groups were on modified program. I remember once being in Susanville, and at that particular time, just the Norteños, the Northern Hispanics, the raza from the North, right, were on lockdown, and only them. And that was because it was a whole situation where they wanted MAC reps, and a MAC rep is basically spokesman for each group. And the Northerners didn't want to comply to the administration's request. They had put us on lockdown. We were on a modified program, right? Now, since the ending of hostilities, since a lot of rule changes, since the integration programs were implemented, all these compliant yards, these forced yards where they're putting, you know, general population and SNY inmates, which is basically another title for protective custody. When they're joining forces, they're putting them together. They're making them coexist, right? And of course, if you're about the GP life, you know already to get off where you're mad at as soon as you touch down on that yard. And there's a lot of dudes that do that. I've been in that situation. You get to a yard that's all bad for your people, right? Doesn't mean it's all bad for everyone else. Just means it's bad for your group. Then you have to get off. You know, if you were like myself, you get off immediately, right in R&R, or you can go function for a little bit, figure out who's who, and try to get a target and do your thing. It's up to you. Anyways, 21 prisons are on lockdown right now. And you know, Salinas Valley is now, it's becoming like the mecca of the California prison system. If it isn't Salinas Valley, it's definitely New Folsom. These two prisons are talked about a lot. There's a lot of murders happening. There's a lot of assaultive behavior happening. There's a lot of individuals that are being sent there that back in the days would have been sent to High Desert or Pelican Bay. These are becoming the new Pelican Bay and High Desert, it seems like, right? And they are on a lockdown situation. Their tablets have been turned off. They got restrictive visiting, meaning no visitation. And these are on the level 3 and level 4 yards. They have no cell movements, meaning that they will be feeding in-house. There will be no going to church. There will be no going to elective programs or schooling or anything like that. It's limited, very limited. And there's a reason for this. There's two reasons, and I'm going to give the whole breakdown. The first reason is there's been a lot of assaultive behavior towards COs. See, it's all good when it's inmate on inmate, convict on convict. It is what it is, right? That's prison. That's what we always say. That's the excuse, right? You know, when you hear about another in-house murder or you hear about another removal, and I know there's a removal going around right now, a video of it, a Northerner being removed on the yard, man, while he's working out. You know, these things are, I won't say normal, but when you're in the prison setting, when you've lived that life, they become normal. You know, they become normal. It becomes where you hear, hey, Valta got whacked, like on A yard or on B yard, you're like, that's what's up. All right. Well, what's for dinner? Right? Are we having chicken on the bone tonight? You know, orale, cinnamon rolls tomorrow. You and your celly are all happy. Did you hear about the homie? What happened to him? Fuck, bro, they whacked the shit out of him. Damn. Fuck, I hope they got an extra cinnamon roll, right? And it's crazy to think like that, but that's the mentality. The mentality is survival of the fittest. The mentality is, hey, he must have fucked up. He must have messed up, right? You don't even think about, was it a bad call, or how bad was it? Did they hit him hard? Or none of that matters. All that matters is, hey, better him than me, right? Now, when it's inmate on inmate, and of course, with this end of hostilities that happened, a lot of people were released from the SHU. The SHU was shut down. It was turned into what I believe is a level 1 or level 2 type style buildings in Pelican Bay, right? And a lot of guys were released from the SHU. A lot of guys that were validated, a lot of guys that were doing decades behind the SHU were released to various yards. Salinas Valley, Pleasant Valley, of course, High Desert, New Folsom. A lot of these prisons, level 3s and level 4s, level 4 180s, received a lot of these guys. They were SHU kickouts due to the end of hostilities, due to the hunger strikes, due to all that, right? And immediately the administration went on offense because they had lost an unprecedented case against the convicts. The first time the inmates, convicts all joined together collectively, all the groups came together, the big 4 groups. They were able to overcome through hunger strikes, through sheer determination, these laws and these hardships they were going through, which was a great thing, a good thing. They fought kind of seems to me like what should be happening on the streets with this whole immigration stuff. As long as everybody comes together, you can make a change. You can make a difference. Not violently, not using violence, not throwing rocks, not stabbing people, but coming together, strong minds, thinking alike, and standing in solidarity. Boom, there you have it. Something happens, change, right? So as soon as that happened, the administration, the CDCR was like, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no, right? They were pissed. And so they implemented a new program. And that program was the consolidation of inmates, the integration, knowing that traditionally the gangs of the prison, the groups, whatever you want to call them, could not and would not stand for, functioning on the same yards together. And this goes both ways. Of course, you're going to have the SNY inmates that are not going to want to go to any type of general population yard with them type of guys because they know that they're in danger. So they're going to get off. And then, of course, you have the general population who cannot be in good standings within their group and function on a yard with these guys. So they started these integrated yards. They put these guys in harm's way. They knew the situation. This was all part of a bigger plot and a plan. The plan is the more turmoil, the more violence, the more bullshit that you have going on, then you can go back to court and justify why these guys that were released from the SHU shouldn't be out there, why the chaos is their fault. And the moment and the minute that they were released from administrative segregation, the whole or the SHU, this is what started to take place. But in all reality, this was a setup by the CDCR so that they could have a leg to stand on. Facts, right? So now what you got going on is a lot of violence. I think in the last 5 years in the CDCR, it's an everyday thing. You have a body, another removal, another body. And of course, this type of shit's going to happen. And has nothing to do with these guys that were released from the SHU, period. It just has to do with these integrations with people that are considered trash coming on the yards, all these different situations and scenarios. And you have a lot of violence. But if you really look at it, I'd say 80% of the violence that's happening are happening on these SNY yards, and not even because of integration, not even because, guys that are GP and SNY have come together on these yards. No, more of it has happened on these SNY compliant yards, these yards that are just fully protective custody. They're getting off. You have SNY gangs, you have groups, we've had riots in, I think it was New Folsom on the SNY side. The GBGs got off with the who know whatever. And you've had riots and melees and stabbings and just a lot going on that side of the yard. And of course, it's going to happen. They're starting to focus the attention. See, back in the days, these pegadas or removals or stabbings or killings would happen. You wouldn't really hear about it too much. It wasn't focused on. It was just another day in prison. But now every stabbing is being focused on, it's being shown, it's being investigated. And the reason is CDCR has a plan. The plan is to reopen the SHU by any means necessary. The plan is to validate as many people as they can and slam them in the back of the SHU. Now, what does that mean for the prison system? Does that make it safer for people? Actually, it'll probably make it more violent. It'll make it more violent See, the way to win over the hearts of a convict is to give them more freedoms and liberties. Now, I understand they're in prison for a very long time for crimes. And I understand there's people that, pay a hard line. There's people that play the hard line. They hard time and hard lining, right? People that are like, hey, they're locked up. They shouldn't have shit coming. That's easy for you to say until you have a family member or you yourself find yourself incarcerated. What little incentives they get, CDCR has to implement a program that in order to get these incentives, you have to do good. You have to be write-up free. You have to be a model inmate or stay out of the shenanigans and the bullshit. And then you gain these incentives. With that, dudes will do that. Oh, shit, I want a tablet. Oh, shit, I want this. Oh, shit, I want that. They're going to start conforming to the program because they want the incentives. They want their social status of equality is what it's called. They want to be treated like everybody else. So in order to obtain that, you have to do good. I understand that. That's life. Hey, you do, like you tell your children, hey, you do good, you get the bike. You fucked up, you get a fucking spanking. That's what you get. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Well, nowadays you can't spank them. You just got to put them in the corner and take their phone, right? Just how it is. But when it comes to CDCR, there's a bigger plan. And all this is because of huevo. Huevo's on the chin. Huevo's on the face, right? When you get egg on your face, you don't like it. No one likes it. And when the convicts won in that unprecedented case, in the end of hostilities case, where they were able to overturn a lot of different things and make some change, CDCR got mad. And so they've been doing everything they can to basically sabotage or set up, or it seems like, right, these inmates. Regardless of that, they're on a lockdown now. And what does this lockdown stem from? Something totally different. In this situation, I kind of understand the modified program. Now, I get a thing called California Prison News, so I kind of keep up to date on what's going on. And if you notice in my channel, I'm kind of straying away from the prison stories as far as not myself being incarcerated, but anything that's happening, new stabbings, murders, unless it's something very big, I'm trying to slowly but surely get away from that just because, I hate speaking on murder. I hate speaking on the next man killing someone, man. It's something that as a content creator, it's big views, it's drama. Of course, it's what I do, but I don't really particularly like it. It's not something I like. I don't like to bring that energy to my home. And, in prison, you get a lot of that. I got the fuck out of prison not to talk about prison, right? So I've been slowly but surely trying to get away from certain things. But in this situation, I felt I must speak on it because you have a lockdown situation. And the reason is a lot of COs are starting to get hit. Now, I've never seen this before. I remember seeing a CO's fight in the county jail with another inmate, telling the inmate, shit, I'm about that business. And the inmate like, come on, let's go. I've seen it on the streets happen. My homeboy fought with a cop. I've seen these types of things happen isolated, but I've never seen any particular group in prison getting off with the cops where it's kind of like back to back to back. Now, I don't know where this stems from. If there's a green light, I don't know if it's just one particular group that's getting off. But this definitely, once the COs start tasting the metal, taste the rainbow. Once they start tasting that rainbow, right, of metal, once they start getting assaulted, whoa, everybody's going to slow down. Modified program immediately. See, when it's inmates killing other inmates or stabbing them, it's program as usual. They might lock you down for the day or two, or if it's a one ethnicity group against ethnicity. If it's one ethnic group against another one, then they might lock it down for a week to kind of figure it out. Kind of like when Tory Lanez got stabbed by the Mexican dude, everyone's like, oh shit, lockdown situation. Let's figure out, it's going up. It's going up. It didn't go up. I told you guys it wouldn't go up. It didn't go up, right? That again was an isolated incident, but of course you got a lot of content creators and people that were trying to make that racially motivated and pump it up. It didn't go up. I told you, right? But I understand the situation of keeping the two groups on lockdown to figure out and investigate what's going on. Now, in this situation, when it's the officers, immediately everybody's on lockdown. Now, this causes tension on the prison yard. Let me explain to you. Say if it's a Mexican that got off on the cop, stabbed a cop, assaulted a cop, whatever he did, all groups will go on lockdown, as was what's going on in the level 3s and 4s right now. 21 prisons, modified program. That means lockdown for blacks, whites, browns, natives, others. It doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter your group, your gang, your religion, none of that. You're all on lockdown. Everyone's getting fed a whole pile of toma, right? Here, dog shit. There you go, right? And so that could upset the groups that are not participating in this assaultive behavior towards the officers. And that could cause tension because it's fucking up their visits, their packages, their canteen, all these different things, the incentives that everyone strives for, that's all they got coming. It's messing it up. And so that is another way for CDCR to say, look, we'll just lock everybody down because of this one particular group getting off with the cops. And that's going to make tensions boil over. Now, if the inmate's smart enough, the convicts, and the convicts are, they realize this is the situation, this is the setup, and they just go through the struggle. It's part of prison life, man. Hey, lockdown is part of life in there. You know, you got to be ready for everything. No, I'll say this. Right now with this lockdown situation going on, I'm hearing in Salinas Valley, they have started a hunger strike. What does that accomplish? Well, a number of things. You know, that gains eyes from the media. That gains eyes from the federal government. So you can't have a group or gaggle, a gang of inmates in a prison system refusing to eat for too long without it gaining the attention of media and it becoming, you know, an awareness thing where now other people are aware. What's the problem? What's the issue? Why are you guys doing this? It starts a conversation. Basically a hunger strike is a conversation starter. You know, it's a stance. You're taking a stand in solidarity and unity together for a cause. What's the cause here? We're being set up, you know, being placed on lockdown for whatever particular group, whatever's going on. Now, the flip side of that coin is once cops start getting hit and assaulted, which is what's going on, right? Which is what's been going on, which has blown my mind because I've never seen it happen like this over and over and over again. There's been several incidences in the last few weeks or in the last month where COs are being assaulted. I've never seen it. This is an alarming rate, right? So I understand the lockdown. I get it. Cops scared. They're like, hey, what the fuck's going on, right? They're not, all COs are not privy to what exactly the administration is doing. They're just in there doing their job, but they don't realize that they're being utilized as pawns in this game as well. And the whole end game is to reopen the shoe and slam these guys back because they got huevo on their face. That's the truth. That's the facts of it, right? But, you know, they're all placed on lockdown, and so these guys are doing a hunger strike. Hopefully it works out in their favor. Again, man, you know, there's a lot of prison wives that are protesting, they're chanting, they're talking, they're whispering. They want to know why their old man doesn't have his tablet turned on. They want to know why, you know, visitation is canceled. They want to know why he's not getting his packages or his letters, or they want to know why this is happening. And it's simple. It's a simple question and an even simpler answer. Until the assaultive behavior stops, they're going to continue to do these modified programs and fuck with these guys. But they're set up. Do you understand? Prison has its own world, and the shit can't stop. You know, and all this could stem from one particular cop in some prison 500 miles away that disrespected someone, and now the light is on. Now it's every time any fucking guard disrespects or any you come in contact with any of the, you know what I mean, that it's on for any group, and everyone's going to suffer. It's just the way it is. But this is what CDCR wants. They want this behavior to continue, because when it does, then when they go to court or they bring it up and they reopen the shoe, they can slam everyone back there and they can say, didn't last too long. At the end, we got you. It's kind of like a casino, man. They'll let you win a little bit. You're out, right? But they don't like it. Eventually, they're going to take all your money. And that's what's going on right now. So my advice, and of course, my advice don't mean shit to these guys that are convicts or prisoners, but my perspective is stand together, solidarity, go out there, and they need to go against the grain. It's a hard thing to say, you know, to tell these guys, man, you know, to go against the grain. Don't keep committing these assaults. Don't participate in what they want you to. And this will really blow their mind. But again, man, CDCR is smart. They'll probably just switch up the game on them. But as of right now, there are 21 prisons, level 3s, all level 3s and level 4s across the state on lockdown because of assaultive behavior towards the officers. And also because I guess there's been a lot of overdoses. That's what they threw in there in the news. You know, we're going to put them on lockdown because of the assaultive behavior towards the officers. And there's an asterisk, right? That's what it's called. and a lot of overdoses. Look, man, I remember being on the yard and watching 8 dudes overdose in one day. That's always happened, right? And if there's good dope on the yard, there's good dope being used. That's just the way it is, or bad dope being used, preferably the bad dope. Hey, that's crazy. You'll see 4 or 5 dudes overdose in their cell blocks, right? And everyone comes running out to the yard. Hey, where's that dope at? Where's that dope at? And they want that. They want the good shit, which is really the bad shit. Anyways, I don't think it's more so to do with that. I think that was just thrown in for the cover up. I think it's more so due to these assaults that have been happening on the officers. 2 things, like I said, either they're scared and they want to know what the hell's going on and why. They're trying to get down to the bottom of why they keep getting assaulted left and right, or it's just part of the plan, part of the game plan. As far as will this hunger strike in Salinas Valley change something? Quite possibly. It did before, right? I can only hope that these guys stick together in solidarity, in unity, and fight the good fight. It's fucked up, man. The California system is getting worse and worse. And right now is not a particularly, is that how you say it? Particularly, right? It's not a good time to go to prison, right? Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in. And that's the betterment of all people. I appreciate your time, man. Thank you guys so much. Bang, bang.